Back in the prehistoric year of 1926, economic growth and the industrial era boomed after the end of World War I, and the death penalty was reinstated in Italy. When Lizzie was born. But yeah, that was the insanely eventful year that Vekoma was founded. The roller coaster manufacturer that went from being one of the absolute shittest to the underdog of the industry, and most of it's thanks to this guy. Now, as of recent years, Vekoma have built a lot of their coasters worldwide, mostly in China, but also all across parks in Europe, Australia, and are now spreading to America. But yeah, with that introduction of Vekoma out of the way, let's get into the top 20 roller coasters built by Vekoma. However, just before we do start this ranking, just want to give you a quick announcement of the fact that I'll be doing daily uploads until Christmas Day. So yeah, enjoy whatever yap I've managed to come out with until the big 25. At number 20, we have Expedition Everest at Disney's Animal Kingdom. This park in Florida is known for having some of the most quality rides and attractions, and this definitely lives up to that name. This has an extremely long ride time and track length, and is built into this extremely impressive snow mountain. But this ride's arguably most interesting feature is the switch track and reverse section it has. This ride goes up into a supposed broken piece of track before backing down into a dark cave and having a sleek and unique interaction with a Yeti projection on the wall. Overall, Expedition Everest provides an equally intense thrill for all ages and has a staggering track length and height for a Disney park, but its main flaw is just how outdated it is. At spot number 19, we have Big Bear Mountain at Dollywood. Essentially, think of this thing as just a larger and more modern version of Expedition Everest. This LIM launched family coaster has an insanely long, sprawling and twisted layout, just minus the Disney theming. This thing doesn't look insanely forceful, but it's got an extremely long layout that's perfect for all ages. And to be completely honest, I'm gonna get a lot of backlash for even putting this on the list, so let's move on. At spot number 18, we have the Hyperspace Warp clones at the Oriental Heritage parks. There are currently 4 of these, and they're all clones of each other, so not much difference at all there. And these layouts are literally just Formula at Energylandia, the original Space Warp coaster, but with a lift hill. And out of personal preference, I prefer launches, so either way, these clones look to provide a short but punchy layout with a few inversions and lots of airtime thrown in. However, the one downside is due to the lift hill, these look to run quite a bit slower than Formula at Energylandia. But these clones do seem to have 2 or 3 more elements thrown in at the end. And therefore, moving on to number 17, we have Formula at Energylandia. This is the first coaster on the list I can actually say I've ridden. The launch at the start is actually quite punchy, and the ride has quite a lot of force to it. Floaty inversions and whippy airtime. The only drawback to this ride is its length, having an appallingly short ride time. But yeah, overall it's almost identical to the number 18 spot, so moving on. At number 16, we've got Sirens Curse at Cedar Point, the first new gen tilt coaster to appear on this list. Sirens Curse will be part of the Cliffhanger preset layout. This ride looks to be more airtime focused, but still have a few whippy inversions, and obviously that tilt is going to be absolutely unreal. Either way, this is going to have a really forceful and intense layout, and I can't believe a ride as good as this is already so low down. At the number 15 spot, we have Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind at Disney's Epcot. I'm personally not the biggest fan of Disney, but this ride looks absolutely crazy. This LSM dark ride coaster has one of the longest layouts on literally any coaster. The insane layout and theming on this ride looks absolutely unreal, and the special feature of having a different song every single time you ride is just insanely innovative. The actual cars themselves having controlled rotation makes for insane dark ride interaction, and to be honest, how can you have a list of the best Vekomas and not have Cosmic Rewind on it? At the number 14 spot, we have all the iterations of the Top Gun model. This layout looks to pack a punch with some insane airtime and unique inversions. It also has some very whippy transitions and this high speed roll over the first launch. The only downside to this coaster is the extreme lack of speed after the mid-course, but with those funky 2-car trains, it needs all the extra operational efficiency it can get. But despite all that, this layout looks extremely forceful. Just maybe don't look at those trains. At number 13, we've got Circuit Breaker at Coasterland, the next new gen Vekoma tilt coaster on this list, but this one's part of the Pitfall model, which in my opinion looks superior. This version of the model has more unique and whippy inversions, and basically just has one of the most thrilling combination of all the forces in one ride. Having a coaster of this scale and thrill level next to a racetrack will be absolutely surreal. At number 12, we have the Flash Vertical Velocity at Six Flags Great Adventure. One of the more unique rides on this list is going to have 2 vertical spikes and a swing launch and a huge backward section through the entire layout. This will have one of the most forceful layouts when it opens next year, combining hang time, air time, high positive G-forces, backward section, multiple punchy launches and inversions. It's also going to be a clone of Cloud Shuttle at Fantawild Wonderland, which is the POV shown on screen, and this looks to have one of the most well-rounded ride experiences on Earth. At the number 11 spot, we have Nafina Force at Emerald Park in Ireland. This is the latest addition to the suspended thrill coaster model, and this just looks so much better than the original one. This ride features higher positive Gs, floaty inversions, a lot of near misses with the rides and the boomerang it duels with, and even has bucket loads of airtime on an invert. It has to be one of the most well-rounded layouts on any invert in the world, and of course it's glossy smooth. Number 10 is Jungle Dragon at Huachang Dragon Valley. This is the smaller version of the Shockwave layout, so it doesn't feature that first launch and small airtime pops before the main launch. But this ride looks to pack a serious punch with positive G-forces, loads of airtime and unique inversions. It has insanely good theming and near misses and goes into a few tunnels throughout the layout. Overall, it has an extremely long ride length and track length, but due to it featuring one more inversion at the end of the layout, it runs quite a lot slower to its larger counterpart Abyssus, which you'll see later on the list. At number 9, we have Invincible Warriors at Fantawild Land. This is one of the most unique but relentless rides on this ranking. It's the only Vekoma in the world to feature a 0G stall, which looks really whippy, but in terms of everything else, it has a lot of inversions, airtime and positive G's thrown in there. This ride just looks like a more downscaled version of Lech Coaster in terms of intensity, just having back-to-back whippy and forceful elements. At number 8, we have Phonix at Farup Sommerland. Now this ride is just direction change after direction change. This ride has to have one of the most eventful layouts on any coaster, just back-to-back airtime moments, forceful turns, inversions and low to the ground twists. The only downside to this coaster is that it might not deliver on force like other Vekomas do, but what it does have is some more unique elements for a Vekoma and a very long ride layout. In the number 7 spot, we have Abyssus at Energylandia. This ride is the larger version of the Shockwave clone that we saw a few spots earlier. This version of the layout features that starting section which features some very sharp ejector. This is overall one of the best paced Vekomas ever built, again featuring those near miss elements, unique inversions, whippy, forceful and airtime filled turns. But again, this ride has an extremely forceful layout and is one of the best layouts ever created by Vekoma. And just, oh, that colour. Next up at the number 6 spot, we have the currently unnamed Ghost Rider model going to Cacau Park in Brazil. We've finally gotten to the point in this list where these rides are getting absolutely ridiculous. This ride features a top hat with a twisted down drop, a double barrel roll and a stalled Immelman, all within succession of each other. It also has an insanely punchy launch at the start, getting the ride up to 73 miles an hour. It's just unfortunate how short the ride is. Just like the number 7 spot, this ride has some absolutely insane pacing. It's just a shame we don't yet know the name or how tall this ride's going to be, but the layout so far looks to be inversion focused, whippy and insanely forceful. It's just a shame this ride doesn't feature much airtime, but the sheer stature of this thing is going to really make it up. Number 5 on this ranking is Wrath of Zeus at Vin Wonders. This Vietnamese Vekoma is similar in height and speed to the number 6 spot, except this ride features a more sprawling and complete layout. Lots of airtime moments, insane places of positive Gs and lots of quick fire and whippy elements. This is by far one of the largest roller coasters Vekoma's ever built, and despite being 71 miles an hour and 160 feet tall, this still has an insanely long ride time and track length, creating what's getting closer and closer to being one of the best Vekoma's ever built. Now entering the top 4 is Teani Beast Coaster at Vedanta World Bonn. This is by far and away going to be one of the best Vekoma launch coasters to ever get built, featuring a staggering 6 inversions and what I'm assuming to be at least 3,000 feet plus of track. This ride will feature 2 launches, the first of which going into a first half with more sharp ejector pops, and the second of which going into one of the craziest sequences of inversions and elements of all time. Like, what on earth even is this thing? Despite the funky shaping on some of the elements, this ride was essentially designed to combine the best worlds of Vekoma into one, and boy did it work. Just look at the trains. And now entering the podium, we have F.L.Y at Phantasialand. However the hell this engineering marvel was possible, F.L.Y somehow managed to completely reinvent the flying coaster. Whilst F.L.Y may not be a stat monster, what it does do perfectly is low swooping elements combined with amazing theming from Phantasialand. F.L.Y has punchy launches, an extremely long layout, and actually gives some floater airtime, and even an inclined launch, however that was possible. But just to top it all off, it really has the best theme park soundtrack of all time. At number 2, we have Lech Coaster in Legendia in Poland. This ride just has non-stop blackout intensity. It also features an absolute plethora of airtime, unique inversions, and low-to-the-ground elements. This coaster really could be just a scaled-down version of Intimidator 305 with a more diverse layout. Lech Coaster also features an extremely long layout that it just completely hauls through. In my opinion, Lech Coaster provides one of the most well-rounded traditional roller coaster layouts of all time. And not to forget that mouth-watering beyond vertical twisted drop at the start. And because of Lech Coaster's slightly outdated layout, it just misses out from the number 1 spot from Iron Rattler at Six Flags Qiddiya in Saudi Arabia. This is Vekoma's largest ever project, over 200 feet tall. Imagine being tilted down to face the ground over 200 feet in the air. But this hyper tilt coaster is truly the best combination of Vekoma's best work, featuring inversions that look like absolute insanity. Despite being over 200 feet tall and 74 miles an hour, this is still the longest ride on this list by far. This layout has every single force imaginable: hang time, air time, insane positive G-forces, whippy inversions and direction changes. That's why this is Vekoma's best roller coaster. So yeah, let me know what you thought of this ranking. Obviously I haven't ridden all of these coasters, so this is just based off my personal preference. I'm still doing daily uploads until Christmas Day, so make sure to like and subscribe with notifications to see that. But have a great day and see ya.